Good evening. Let us begin where relief begins. You know, the weariness of overthinking, the tightness in the brow, the dull ache of a mind that has been set to grinding like a millstone, turning problem upon problem, memory upon worry, until even the air feels thin. We have been told that if we think long enough, hard enough, cleverly enough, we will find a way. And yet, the harder the strain, the farther the answer seems to recede. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The promise has always been there, but the mind in its restlessness misses it. Wisdom is not manufactured. It is revealed. It rises not out of the heat of urgency, but out of the cool of silence. Be still and know that I am God. If there is any secret to what we will do together, it is this. God is the only power. Hear it again. God is the only power. There is nothing to wrestle, nothing to conquer. The enemy was only the belief that there could be another presence, another causation, another will working against us. When the belief in two powers dissolves, the compulsion to think against an enemy dissolves with it. I and the Father are one. Right here, where you sit, is the temple of the living God, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. A little story for your heart. Mara sat at her kitchen table late into the night, bills spread like little threats, a pen tapping the laminate in an anxious rhythm. She started columns, erased columns, made plans, unmade them. The refrigerator hummed a weary bass note. At last, in exhaustion, she leaned back and whispered to no one she could see, I can't. And into that surrendered space came a softness, a wordless hush, and then a remembered line, I will never leave you nor forsake you. She did not analyze it. She did not argue with it. She simply closed her eyes and let it be. Minutes passed. The fear loosened. When she opened her eyes, there was no thunder, no spectacle, only a quiet assurance and a simple next step, one call to make in the morning. The grace had not been born of her thought. It had been revealed in her stillness. Let us do that now. Take this promise into yourself. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Say it once within, and then be very silent. Let the words fall into the heart and stop in silence, stillness, quietness, confidence. Now, feel the first lift of relief. We have turned from manufacturing to receiving. God is the only power. In this quiet turn, the one presence begins to reveal. And so it is. Now we come to the tug inside, that inner argument that has worn grooves in the mind. It is the habit of setting up two camps in consciousness, God on one side, something not God on the other, and then thinking furiously to pick a winner. That is the root of anxiety. That is the engine of compulsive problem solving. The very moment we concede two powers, the mind must rehearse defenses and manufacture strategies. But hear me, there is not a second power to defeat. God is the only power. When that is realized, the rope of the inner tug-of-war falls from our hands, and the strain stops. You have seen how belief gives bite to what has none. A child is shown a toy serpent, a fearful gasp in the room, a cry, and the little one recoils as if venom were in painted rubber. It was not the toy that struck. It was belief. So it is with conditions paraded before us, an envelope with a window, a diagnosis letter, a headline with its red numerals, a memory that hisses shame. None of these contains power in itself. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or evil power. Any seeming threat borrows all it seems to have from our consent to two powers. Withdraw that consent, and it collapses like a shadow when the light is turned on. In him we live and move and have our being. If this is true, and it is, then causation belongs to the one. Circumstance has no law of its own. Disease is not a power. Lack is not a power. Fear is not a power. Only the one. Make this your inward treatment. God is the only power. I and the Father are one. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Say it once, quietly. Then be very silent. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. Let it settle. Let it seal. Peace. Be still. Do not argue with appearances. Do not reason your way through a jungle of effects. Retire into the hush where the presence witnesses to itself. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Whisper it if you must, then stop. Be still and know. As you rest there, you will feel urgency dissolving like mist under the sun. Listening becomes possible. Guidance emerges without strain. You will find a step given, not invented, a door noticed that had been there all along, a word to speak or a word to withhold. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Hear it as now. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Not because we have argued well, but because we have recognized one. Where one is all, there is nothing left to oppose, nothing left to fear, so we lay down the rope. We decline the contest. We stop lending credence to shadows and retire into the light that is already here, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. This is the end of the inner tug-of-war, not a victory won by might, but the simple seeing that there was no other power to fight. In that seeing, the heart rests, and in that rest, the way opens. Now, having laid down the rope, let us look at what truly does the work. Our affirmations are holy, but they are holy as a doorway, not as the room itself. They are the knock, not the meal, the key turning in the lock, not the warmth of the hearth. We voice truth to quiet the surface of the mind, to steady the heart long enough to hear. But it is not the multiplication of words that heals. It is the realization that follows. God is the only power. Therefore, the work of God requires no persuasion, no argument, no pleading. Words sweep the threshold. Silence welcomes the presence. Be still and know that I am God. In that knowing, not in the saying, the grace performs its office. Listen within to the law of spirit. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. The seal is placed not by one more sentence, but by our hush. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. This temple is here. This is the temple of the living God, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. Therefore we speak once quietly, I will never leave you nor forsake you, or I and the Father are one, or simply, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Then we stop. We are very still. We refuse to argue with appearances. We decline to repeat ourselves as if the repetition were power. We rest. Peace, be still. In that rest, the presence that is always present reveals itself as harmony, as order, as sufficiency, as right action. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. A man, Daniel, sat late at his desk, plans scattered, deadlines leaning over him like stern faces. He had tried angles and answers, called up every cleverness he knew, and the more he strove, the tighter everything seemed to knot. At last, with a sigh that felt like surrender, he spoke within, Lo, I am with you always. He said it once. Then he turned the light off over the desk and kept the light within. He was quiet. In that quiet, the inner atmosphere changed. The thrum of fear ebbed. A name rose gently to memory, someone he had not thought to call. In the morning, Without strain, the step was taken and the way opened. He had not invented the answer, he had received it. The words opened the door, the silence brought the presence to view. Make this our rhythm now and always. Brief truth, extended silence, receptive awareness, a whisper, then a widening hush, a single assurance, then the holy waiting in which God is God. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Say it once, and let grace be grace. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Rest there. The Spirit of God is upon me. Rest there. In stillness, in quietness, in confidence, the one presence reveals and performs what is needed. And so it is. Let us now allow the holy river of assurance to run through consciousness, not as wish, not as strain, but as the statement of what already is. Promises are not promissory notes. They are present tense facts of the one presence. They steady the heart because they turn it from seeking to seeing, from hoping to recognizing. God is the only power. Therefore, these assurances are not attempts to make something happen. They are acknowledgments that in the one, all is already complete. We will let them speak once, we will not add our thought to them, and then we will be very still. In that stillness, the promise takes root and bears its own fruit. I am with you. Say it within once, as if reporting the weather of heaven now, then be silent. Let the words evaporate into presence. Do not add a reason. Do not add a plea. Rest. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Hear it as now, not later, then stop. Let it descend from head to heart. Be still and know. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Only once, quietly, then hush. Let the always be always. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Not because you are strong, but because there is no second power. Whisper it once, then yield to silence. Let the earth keep silence before him. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Only once. Then allow the sense of being led to replace the strain of leading yourself. Breathe softly, do not think. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Stop there. Feel the rod and staff as support, not as idea. Quiet now. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Speak it and then step back inwardly. Nothing to engineer. Rest. In him we live and move and have our being. Let that be the atmosphere in which you sit. Let it be nearer than hands and feet. Then be still. Underneath are the everlasting arms, not hands that may slip, everlasting arms. Let yourself be carried. Say nothing more. Do you feel it, the tilt from effort into support, from leaning forward into being held? This is the shift from problem consciousness to promise consciousness. In Mara's kitchen, in Daniel's study, in your own breathing now, the same law holds. Brief truth, extended silence. The river runs quietly, and its current bears you without splash. This temple, this very you, is the temple of the living God, and from within its sanctuary these assurances rise as living presence. You are not arming yourself to fight a second power. You are consenting to the one. The mind may wish to add a line, to repeat as if repetition were power. Do not indulge it. The seal is placed in the hush. The Spirit of God is upon me. Rest there. So let the promises stand and settle. Let them anchor awareness without argument, in silence, in stillness, in quietness, in confidence. They reveal what they name. Promises become power when followed by the pause that lets them be realized presence. And so it is. Now we turn from the stream of promise to the house, from which that river springs. Do not look beyond yourself. Do not stretch your thought out over the hills of tomorrow. What we seek is already within. The kingdom of God is within you, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. This very awareness is the temple of the living God. You cannot go anywhere to find it, and you cannot go anywhere to leave it behind. Here, and now, God is the only power. Here and now, the presence fills all space, includes every detail, and leaves nothing outside itself. We are not entering a new place. We are recognizing home. Cease the search. Let the inner feet stop their running. Quit scanning the horizon for a sign. Turn quietly to the heart's center and say once, only once, I and the Father are one. Then be very still. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Do not try to feel something. Do not test the air. Simply rest. Let companionship, not as a notion but as presence, wrap itself about you like warmth in a room without draught. Underneath are the everlasting arms. No strain is needed to be carried. Make a little picture for your soul. Wherever I am, the presence is the place. If I am at the kitchen sink, the suds are floating in holy water. If I am in a hospital corridor, the fluorescent hum sounds within the hush of God. If I am in a meeting or a bus, or at a bedside in the night, this is holy ground. Take off thy shoes, not to make the place sacred, but to admit that it already is. The geography does not confer holiness, recognition reveals it. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The one that is your life is the atmosphere you move in. Consent to that, and the burdens of place and circumstance drop their false weight. From this indwelling center, fulfillment rises of itself. You will notice ideas appearing without hunt, kindness blooming without effort, right timing arranging itself without your orchestration. In him we live and move and have our being. Hear it as now. Lo, I am with you always. Only once, then hush. Practical steps will come, not as orders shouted from afar, but as the next quiet stone appearing under your foot. The temple is not an escape from the day. It is the innermost of the day itself. Carry this awareness in and out of rooms, down streets, into hours. Pause often one breath, one remembrance, and let the hush reform around you. This is home, not a refuge to visit under stress, but the dwelling you never leave. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Whisper it once, and be very silent. Let the walls of the inner sanctuary be felt as nearness, as sufficiency, as peace. Wherever you are, the presence is the place. Rest there. Maturation is this simple movement from nodding to living, from repeating to being, from belief to demonstration. Agreement says, yes, that sounds true. Demonstration reveals it is so here. Recognition of truth makes you a student. The living of it without strain, without show, makes you a practitioner. God is the only power. Therefore, demonstration is never you performing for God or for the world. It is God revealing God as your very day, your very step, your very breath. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. How does it appear? Not as fireworks, not as a mind that wins debates. It appears as fear loosening its grip until it falls away. It appears as right action emerging by itself, as if a path that was hidden becomes quietly visible under your feet. A woman, Ruth, often met criticism at her office like a shield and a sword, words ready, muscles set. After learning to say within once only, I will never leave you nor forsake you, and then be silent, something changed. The next time the sting came, no quick reply arose. Instead, a warmth, no words at first, then a sentence as gentle as rain and just as cleansing. The room softened. The task moved forward without a battle. She had not engineered that gentleness. It had risen out of realized stillness. This is the sign. You are not bracing yourself against a supposed second power. You are resting in one. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Here it is now. Be silent and watch how sufficiency appears without grab, how timing arranges itself without push, how forgiveness arrives without calculation. Demonstration is effortless because it is, presence being presence. The desire to prove diminishes, the joy of being increases. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Where fear has receded and quiet confidence stands, there is your demonstration. And this belongs to every one of us. No special temperament is required, no particular schooling, no rare charisma. Daily, brief, realized stillness matures us. Say within once, I and the Father are one. Then be very silent. Let the hush place the seal. Do it in the doorway before you step out. Do it at the red light. Do it with your hand on the doorknob of a difficult room. A little silence, often. As we continue in this way, agreement ripens into life lived in God. The student becomes a practitioner because the presence is allowed to be itself in us and as us. Now let us seal this. Within, whisper only once, lo, I am with you always. Stop there. Be still. Let the need to prove relax out of the shoulders, out of the mind. Let it sink into the joy of being carried underneath are the everlasting arms. No performance, no display, only presence, only peace, only one. Now let us make the way plain, so simple that you can carry it like breath. 3 movements only. Remember, release, rest. Not a technique to perfect, a rhythm to enter. God is the only power. Therefore, you need not wrestle. You need only consent. The first movement is remembrance. Briefly, quietly, you bring to conscious awareness the truth already established. I and the Father are one, or I will never leave you nor forsake you, or no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Say it once, not as magic, but as recognition. Let it be the knock at the inner door. Then do not multiply words. One beam of light is enough to reveal the room. The second movement is release. Having remembered, you gently withdraw the belief that any condition stands as a power. Deny it power, not by argument, but by non-consent. Disease is not a power. Lack is not a power. Time is not a power. That envelope with its window is not a power. That memory with its sting is not a power. You stop lending them the electricity of fear. You put down the toolbox of mental fixing. You do not calculate. You do not rehearse. You do not brace. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Let that be the soft severing. Return the sword to its sheath. The only causation is God. Appearances are effects, not laws. Release means this: I will not prop up a second power in my thought. Then the third movement, rest. Be still and know that I am God. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Say nothing more. Listen without reaching. Let awareness widen, soften, become spacious. Like a lake when the wind is quit, do not test for a sign. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Underneath are the everlasting arms. In silence, stillness, quietness, confidence. Here the seal is placed. Here grace acts of itself, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Moments, not minutes. open this door. One breath at the doorframe before you step out. A single remembrance as the phone rings. A soft release before you read the message. A 10-second rest with your hand on the doorknob. Frequency, not length. A little silence, often. In him we live and move and have our being. Keep to the rhythm. Remember, release, rest. Let it become the heartbeat within your day. You will find right action rising without strain, answers appearing without search, peace holding without defense. God is the only power. Consent to that, and the way is made. And so it is. Urgency clamors. It hurries the breath, tightens the jaw, drives the hand to act before the heart has seen. In that first swell, make the quiet turn. Peace, be still. God is the only power. Say within, once only, lo, I am with you always. Then be very silent. Let urgency bow. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that follows truth. When the wave of haste kneels to stillness, right action emerges without strain, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. Health first. A symptom shouts, a report arrives, and fear tries to crown disease as a power. Deny it the throne. Disease is not a power. Life is the only causation. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Whisper once, I am the Lord that healeth thee. Then cease, be still, and know. Sit long enough for the sting to loosen and the inner air to clear. In that cleared space, rightness appears. To lie down in quiet, to rise and drink water, to call the name that comes. Do not run ahead of the peace. Let peace lead, let steps follow. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Supply next. An invoice stares, a date presses close, and the mind rehearses dread. Refuse the stage to lack. Lack is not a power. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Speak at once, then let the earth keep silence before him. Sit in the atmosphere of sufficiency, that is God's own being. Wait for either direction or a deepening peace. One simple step will be given a call, a small adjustment, a door remembered, or a quiet that holds you until the tide turns. Cast the net on the right side appears as an inner nudge, not a scramble. Where sufficiency is recognized, provision comes without clawing. Timing arranges without push. Now, relationships. A word wounds, a message bites, an offense demands reply. Deny offense, its scepter. There is no second power in a voice or a tone. Know the one presence in all. I and the Father are one, and that one is the life of my brother and of me. Say it once, then be very still. Listen for the gracious word, or for the wisdom to keep silence. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Sometimes no answer turns away the storm. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Rightness within precedes rightness without. Mark the order. Hush before motion. Brief assurance. Receptive silence. Then step. God is the only power. Let urgency bow, and the way stands plain. Now, because the way is simple, let us be simple about the hindrances that seem to rise along it. Fear will come tapping at the window. Mental noise will crowd the doorway like a restless market. The clock will cry, hurry, hurry, as if the day were a tyrant. These are not powers. They are appearances born of the old habit of two-ness. God is the only power. We do not conquer them by pushing back. We let them pass by turning to the one. Receptivity, not resistance, quiets the mind. We do not fight shadows. We let the light be light. The light is a brief truth, and the silence that follows. Say little, be very still. Let the presence demonstrate its allness. When fear rises sudden as a grip in the chest at 3 a.m, or slow as a dread that trails you, toil not with argument. Remember once only, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Then be silent. Do not explain it to yourself. Do not measure your feeling. Let the rod and the staff steady you without your help. If words want one more breath, let them be these: no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Then hush. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Fear is a borrowed costume. When you refuse to believe in a second power, the costume falls. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Whisper once and yield to quiet. As for mental noise, do not swat at thoughts. Let them pass as birds across a wide sky. Your task is not control. Your task is receptivity. The sea does not still itself by beating the waves. It rests and the wind subsides. Say within, only once, I and the Father are one, and then let the word sink as a stone to the floor of the sea. Peace, be still. Let that be said to the surface, and then say no more. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Let the earth of racing ideas keep silence by your non-consent. They have no law. They are not a power. The presence fills all space, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. And the clock, do not try to outrun it with faster thinking. The way through time pressure is not more time. It is a doorway into the timeless, opened many times a day. Moments, not minutes. At the threshold of a task, one promise. Lo, I am with you always, one breath, one quiet minute if it is given, 10 seconds if that is all. Before you open the email, before you answer the phone, before you speak. Frequency, not length. A little silence, often. In him we live and move and have our being. In that atmosphere, time serves instead of rules. Right action appears without strain. Order reveals itself where hurry had made blur. So practice this return without drama. One promise, one breath, one quiet minute. Then back to your work, which is no longer yours alone. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Be still and know I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be very silent. Receptivity, not resistance, quiets the mind. A little silence often transforms the day. God is the only power. Let the seal be placed in the hush, and the grace will carry you. And so it is. Now let the truth we have remembered clothe you. Identity is not a concept, it is raiment. In him we live and move and have our being. This is your robe and your armor. Not a hardness that resists, but a softness that cannot be pierced. Not a shield to hold up, but an atmosphere to abide in. God is the only power. Therefore, safety is not in alertness to threat. Safety is in realized oneness. I and the Father are one. Say it once, then be still. In that hush, the garment settles on the heart. You are not a vulnerable struggler. You are the temple of the living God. Do you see what happens to posture when this is worn within? Dignity replaces defensiveness. You do not hurry to explain or brace to repel. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Only once then, hush now. Where one is all, nothing stands outside to attack. No weapon formed against thee shall prosper, not because you are quick with answers, but because appearances have no law in the presence. Disease is not a power. Lack is not a power. The robe is consent to God as all, and the armor is the stillness that seals that consent, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Practice it as you cross thresholds. Before you enter a tense room, pause one breath at the door and feel the robe, feel the inward warmth that says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Whisper it once, Then let silence spread like a mantle. Step in without armor, made of attitude. Walk as temple. Voices lose their power to wound. Schedules lose their power to whip. Lack loses its mask. You are not hard. You are held. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Your presence becomes permission for others to rest. A hush goes with you wherever you go. Majesty travels without announcement. It is not performance, it is presence. When reports arrive, when headlines flare, when memory rattles, remember, release, rest. Say within, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Only once, then be still, right here now. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Only once, then be still. In realized oneness, you are clothed in a quiet invulnerability that needs no defense. God is the only power. This is not defiance, it is recognition. This is not stubbornness, it is surrender to allness. And as you consent again and again, moments, not minutes, you will find threats pass through like wind through linen, and what remains is peace. And so it is. Now let us let this stillness become a way of moving, not a bench we visit and leave. We are not leaving the sanctuary. We are learning to carry it. God is the only power. Therefore, our day does not begin with a rush to manage life. It begins with the quiet turn to acknowledge the life that is managing us. Before the mind puts on its tools, before the calendar speaks, pause, place the day inside the one presence, a word, a breath, a hush. Be still and know that I am God. Say it once within, then be very silent. Let the hush move with you like a fragrance you do not create. Morning, before the feet touch the floor, make the three movements. Remember, release, rest. Remember, I and the Father are one, or I will never leave you nor forsake you. One phrase only, not as magic, as recognition. Release, refuse, belief in the second power, waiting in the hours ahead. Disease is not a power. Lack is not a power. Time is not a power. Then rest. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Be very quiet. Do not plan in that space. Let the day be placed inside the temple of the living God. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Rise from that rest. Move softly into the morning. The atmosphere has been set. Midday. Make thresholds into altars. Before calls, meetings, decisions, pause for 3 breaths in silence. Use an anchor, a phrase, lo, I am with you always. A touch to the heart, or a single word, be. On the first breath, be. On the second, be still. On the third, be carried. Then act. Frequency, not length. At the door frame, be. At the keyboard, be. In conversation, be. In him we live and move and have our being. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Let the pressure drain away from your shoulders and return to its rightful place in God. Right action will appear without hurry. Words will come as if laid gently in the mouth. Timing will arrange itself as if it had always known how. Evening, close the day in the same spirit in which you opened it. Gratitude first, not as inventory, as recognition. Thou hast prepared a table before me. Let the heart nod. Then a brief promise stream, only once each, with silence after. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Hush. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hush. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Hush. Ask nothing. Rest without asking. Let the night be sacrament. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He restoreth my soul. Fall asleep inside that presence that does not sleep. Underneath are the everlasting arms. This is how silence travels. On your breath, in your step, by a word, be by a touch to the heart. It goes where you go, because it is what you are. God is the only power. Carry the hush into motion, and motion serves the hush. Walk as the temple of the living God. I live and move and have my being in God. And so it is. Beloved, we have come quietly from the habit of mental labor into the grace of knowing. We have laid down the rope in that inner tug-of-war, acknowledged there are not two powers contending, and yielded to the one. We have learned to speak truth once and then be still, to let the promises settle into presence, to find the temple within rather than search the horizon, to let agreement ripen into demonstration, to keep the simple rhythm, remember, release, rest, and to let urgency bow before stillness until wise action appears without strain. We have seen that fear, noise, and the clock are not powers, and we have carried silence into motion so that motion serves the hush. Now the arc is complete. Knowing dawns where striving ends. Let silence complete what words begin. Before we close, let the stream of assurance flow once more, each said once, and then surrendered to hush. Lo, I am with you always. Hush, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hush, peace, be still. Hush, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Hush, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Hush, I and the Father are one. Hush, in him we live and move and have our being. Hush, the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Now be very still. Ask nothing, add nothing. Do not lean forward in thought. Let the presence lean into you. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Here is the seal. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. No pleading, no planning, only resting. Let the breath soften and lengthen. Let the mind become a clear pool. Let the heart be held. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. Let God be God. Be still and know that I am God. Let the seal be placed in the hush. Let the work be done where sight cannot spy it and fear cannot follow. Now rise within yourself, gently, as one robed in quiet assurance, clad in the armor of spirit. Walk as the temple of the living God. Move unhurried. Speak only as grace provides the word. Act only as peace leads the step. The Father that dwelleth in you, he doeth the works. Yea, though you walk through any valley of shadow, you will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Goodness and mercy go with you. Wisdom orders your way. Sufficiency attends your need. God is the only power. Carry the hush into the street, into the room, into the hour. Let silence complete what words begin, and let knowing be your atmosphere. And so it is.